This video is all about the listening section on the Toefl exam. I'm going to come straight to the point. This section comprises of several different types of questions. Main idea questions, detailed questions, inference type questions, attitude questions, purpose or listen again questions. To the main idea questions. As the name suggests, these type of questions usually have a main idea in the question and is usually a conversation or a lecture. Purpose questions. These type of questions are further divided into subcategories, and you have to pay attention to the tone of the lecture or the conversation. And there are transitions that are also present in this type of questions, and I will get back to that in a second. The different subcategories that I mentioned are further divided into compare and contrast questions. These type of questions have several different type of theories and possible explanations and different type of views. So you have to look for keywords like in contrast to, additionally, on the other hand, similarly, also, however. Second subtype would be cause and effect. This type of conversation explains why certain things happen. What is the reason behind a certain thing happening? Isn't that the same thing? Third subcategory would be abstract type or specific examples. Lecture begins with an example in these type of questions and usually includes words like one approach is, one idea is, one concept is, the basic premises, etc. And the last category would be sequential. In this type of category, the question has different parts like first part, second part, initially, and words like finally. Types of tones to pay attention to in your listening section. Objective tone is when speaker lists a number of facts. Subjective tone is when speaker makes an argument about a fact. Incisive is a tone in which a professor is giving a lecture and he suddenly leads the class through a number of questions during the lecture. This type of tone would be known as incisive. Upset and confused. Paying attention to different transitions in your listening session. Common phrases to look for: number one, reversals. Reversal is a kind of transition that reverses the direction of the whole lecture. So you want to be looking for words like, I'll come back to that in a second. You know what? We will discuss this later. I want to get to that right now. Actually, let's discuss something else. These are the kind of phrases you want to be looking for in terms of reversal transition. Negations. Negation is a kind of transition in which the professor uses a negative word to explain a positive sentence. Like, I explain something to you and then I say, I don't have to explain that to you, right? So I'm assuming that you know the reply to my question that I just explained. Or this type of transition is known as negation transition. So the basic approach to succeed on your listening section is to look for the structure of the sentence, the structure of the lecture or the conversation or whatever is being played, the tone, and the topic, of course. Sure, the conversation or whatever your listening section comprises of, you will be given a number of questions to answer. Now, on the answer choices, there are certain answer choices to look for. Answers that are too specific or too good to be true are a no-no. Answers that are broad, like an answer has keywords that was mentioned earlier in the lecture but has nothing to do with the paragraph that is being discussed or that is being asked in the question, are answers too broad. Answers that are not even mentioned at the top. Whenever you're stuck on the Toefl listening section, be very careful of the answers that seem too good to be true. How to take notes on the listening section. The 5 R's of note taking. Record, reduce, recite, reflex, and review. Record is when you write down as many facts as you can when you're listening to the conversation or the lecture. Reduce is when you heard what the professor is saying and you quickly summarized it and then write it down. Recite is summarize what you have heard using only the keywords. So the first 2 questions are main idea and detailed questions, and these are literally reading in terms of listening. So these are answered exactly like the reading section. The only difference is that this reading is being read out to you loud. So I'll put a link somewhere over here to the reading section so you can refer to my reading video for these 2 questions, and they're answered exactly the same way the reading section is. A quick tip over here. Before I move on, always eliminate answer choices that have words like always, none, never, all, everything, nothing, only, impossible. These are very extreme kind of words that should be avoided on the listening section. The idea is the same. You hear the keyword, you write it down, you look for the keyword. In your notes, you mark the keywords and the sentences around it, then you make an answer in your head, and then you look at the answer choices, and then you pick an answer choice that's the closest to the reply that you made in your head for the first two questions. But more on that in the reading video that I'm going to link somewhere over here. Now comes the inference questions. So the idea is the same over here too. You hear the keywords, you search your notes for the keywords that you wrote down while taking the notes when the professor was speaking, then you look for the phrases around the keyword, make an answer in your head. But in this type of question, in inference type of question, you need to pay attention to the tone of the speaker. So rewind this video a little bit and look for the tones that I mentioned and pay attention to the tone of the speaker, because in inference type of questions, you will be asked to infer what the professor meant by saying this, and that. Attitude type of questions. In this question, you also have to look for the tone of the speaker. So try to recall what the speaker was saying and how he was delivering it. Like if he was using an inconside tone, if he was excited, if he was upset about something or stuff like that. Again, rewind the video a little bit and take notes on the tones that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and then come back to this section. So hopefully you would know what I'm trying to say. And lastly, purpose type questions. In these type of questions, a paragraph from the listening section is played again to you, and then you're asked to infer or decide what the professor actually meant. So you need to look for the keywords in the paragraph that is played again to you, and then look for the same keywords in your notes that you took while listening to the professor, and then look for the phrase or the words that came before that keyword, so you would know what the professor was actually trying to say. So like I mentioned earlier too, and 1,000 times, listening is exactly like the reading section on the Toefl, just being read out to you loud. So any sentence that comes before the keyword that we're looking at explains the structure of the sentence and explains what the professor is trying to say. This is academic English. If you still aren't sure on how to answer these questions, I would highly recommend you to watch my reading section video first and then come back to this video. It will be much easier for you to follow. We'll be trying to do some one-on-one listening and reading and speaking and writing techniques with you guys pretty soon. So let me know in the comment section down below if there is anything that is still unclear to you, and I would love to help. And if this video provided you any value, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because this is the only thing that keeps pushing me to make more and more content. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a wonderful day.